boys, it's Go Hunter Podcast. This podcast is brought to you by Anchor, your all-in-one platforming needs. Go to anchor.fm or download the Anchor app if you want to get your podcast started today. Today, joining me, nothing too special. We have Joseph and we have Charles. How's it going? How's it going? Okay, so Charles is a Dukes of Hazzard. Good to know. Joseph, how are you doing?
I'm not bad. Had some of the most well-cooked pancakes of my life.
Oh,
well
yeah.
cooked as in they were cooked well, or well cooked as in they were very well done?
Very well done.
Yeah, I'm happy to see the IHOP incident left you good. I hate to tell everyone that if you were listening to the podcast last week, there were some text on screen in the video podcast that were very hurtful from the editor who did that, and I want them fired. But I can't fire them, so we have to deal with it. But yeah, Joseph came back.
Can't fire people if they don't get paid.
There's the loophole. Now I understand why I can't run a business. My week's been good. I ran 25 miles on the bike, staying in good shape. And did some workouts. I'm gaining weight because of muscle building. We hit 800 followers on TikTok today. That was great. So I was excited with that. We are on our way to 1,000, and I'm thinking whenever we hit 1,000, TikTok will control my life for 24 hours. Dangerous, but content, good content. Yeah. Oh, James, what's up?
I was gonna say that.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
The podcast. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. I just kind of walked through this door and there was a camera on, so I just said, "Hey, what's up?"
Dude, that's bizarre. Yeah. Welcome. Did you get the milk?
I'll be back.
Oh.
Oh no.
Oh.
Oh, the PTSD is kicking in.
Oh. Okay. So he forgot to get the milk. So maybe next time. Maybe next time you will come back with that milk. Oh, I think you got it. Oh yeah, it's behind his fireplace. Okay, you got it.
I done messed up. I ruined the bit.
Nah.
This whole freaking thing out in post.
We did great during the brainstorming session, but
Right.
when it came time to get into the drafts,
It all went to crap when I meant to hit mute, but I actually hit disconnect.
Oh, you know what? That's just how we roll. We've been growing on the podcast side. People have been coming highly watching about us. Our average viewer duration is now like 20 minutes on YouTube. You realize how somehow great that is? The fact that people are watching the podcast for 20 minutes?
I'm impressed that they're sticking around for because I usually feel like the first 20 minutes when we're just being random and talking about our lives is like the least relevant stuff to what we talk about in the thumbnail. People are like, well, you know what? Never mind. I gotta just make up my own opinion on Twitch. Thank you very much.
Like, Twitch taking over? Nah. Mr. Zuckerberg stealing our identity? Nah. Oh, but your life? How's that
I
going?
still have a job. Well, boy, I got stories to tell.
How is the job stuff going, by the way?
Man, it's been up and down. There's definitely some progress, but this is like the most involved that I've been in like a video production. So being able to edit this show has helped me overcome some of those hurdles. But there's a lot of stuff that I'm learning for the first time. We've been talking about kinetic typography, integrating animations into it, audiogramming. It's definitely turning into really some of the best work I've ever done. So,
Nice.
I'll look back on this and be like, man, that was good stuff. But I got to say, when I got into media specifically for audio. That was what was inspiring me to become a podcaster, was just being able to listen to something and, let my imagination fill in the blanks. So, I got to say, I'm not super as jazzed about video content creation as I was about audio content creation. So it's making me think about what kind of stuff am I continuing to apply to? So I made a rule, I try to apply to at least a couple of gigs every day just to keep building out my portfolio, but definitely want to lean more towards like keeping on the audio content going, at least for a while, maybe warm up to video, get a better computer. Because this poor artifact from like 2015 is really having a hard time with these render times.
Yeah, dude, I feel that.
So hold it together. You hear that, girl? Hold it together.
You're petting the computer like, please don't disconnect. Please don't. You run on a half a DD4. Just stay still.
Yeah, well, that's the downside. The upside to the project has been being involved as a producer meant a lot of like sitting in on recordings without having to say anything, jot down notes, check level, stuff like that. So that side of it has been a lot of fun, and it's something that has been a long time coming. So yeah, it's an interesting time.
Yeah, I know. I got into YouTube because of the exact opposite. Like I got into YouTube being like, I'm funny. I know I'm decent looking, so I'm like, I know I'm decent looking. I know I'm funny. I could be the next Ryan Reynolds. So I was like, hell yeah, we'll do this. And then my editing was non-existent. My amazing editing was cutting out 20 minutes of dead space going, you see how smooth that cut was? You wouldn't even notice. You wouldn't even know. And now I'm like, every 3 seconds, there's an edit. There's a cut. There's a jump. There's a text. And I'm like, this is what I want now. So like, I'm focused more in like the video space, and plus like looking at numbers such as like your average viewer retention and all that. That stuff excites me, especially once again getting to as long as this show is. We usually go an hour long. For those of you who may not know, we go about an hour long in our podcast, and I don't honestly ever expect someone to watch the whole way through, and there are a few of you out there that watch the whole way through. And then there's some that where they will click on it, watch it a little bit, and then be like, oh, okay, I liked it. And they keep going through to our one podcast. Our one podcast hit like, it was a 50-minute podcast, one of our shorter ones. And it had a 50% viewer retention. So half of you guys watched it, and it had like 20 views. I'm like, we didn't even get to the end of the story. When you guys cut out, you literally just jumped away in the middle of us talking about Zuck. I was like,
like Sopranos freaking cutting the black end scene.
Yeah, pretty much. It's
I hate to those who watch Sopranos.
So the algorithm started showing me clips. They're easing me into it. They're showing me all the executions first. And then eventually we do the story beats. This is Sopranos, so everything that I could say about that show is inappropriate for this. But it's like, you're not gonna believe this, but Vito Spatafori is an ass muncher. Oh, and then it's like 5 minutes of them all pretending they're all basically being homophobic Italians for like 5 minutes. It's hilarious.
You can speak when you're doing it, James.
No, he said homophobic Italians. I refuse to continue that part of the bit.
Damn it! I was hoping you would just start doing it. I hate it.
Not canceling me today, boys.
Oh man, yeah. So, last week we had 2 members. This week we have the full crew. And well, we are lost in our thoughts. James,
You should ask James before he has to go.
Yeah,
Because I mean, I have like permanent abandonment anxiety.
Same.
So like, how have you been, Senior James?
Good.
Dad?
The semester ended this past weekend. I did pretty good.
nice.
So yeah, other than that, it's just I work almost 60 hours a week, and then I juggled school with that. Now I just work 60 hours a week with no school. So we'll see where life takes me. But
60
I'm
hours,
just
is
going for the
that
ride.
in a 5-day span, or are you doing weekends?
6 days.
6 days. Okay, that checks out. That's a lot. That's a lot on a person's plate. 60
Yeah.
hours worth of
Yep.
work, and doing school. And I have to wonder, was it your military training that like helped you keep together and like shoulder this burden?
Yes, absolutely. Because I was in the military, it was like 80-hour work weeks. So
Yeah, that was
6 days a week,
okay, good
7 days a
question.
week, whatever. So Yeah, I
Say you're
mean,
freaking up all day and night freaking in the military.
say again?
You're pretty much awake like almost all day and freaking 24/7 when you're in the military.
Just about. I mean, I would get 8 hours of sleep a couple nights a week, but it was rough. But now when I need time away, I go to a baseball game or go see a movie. Like the new Top Gun's coming out. I'm gonna go see the midnight show into that.
Nice. Have you been playing any games recently? Since this is a kind of gaming podcast, have you been playing any games recently?
Yes. So in my spare time, since I don't really have enough time to like play a lot of online games,
Mhm.
I recently 100%ed Ghost Recon Wildlands.
Wow, 100%.
Yes,
Damn, nice.
that was fun. I've been playing a lot on my Switch. I got the new Nintendo Switch Sports, which is like basically an updated version of Wii Sports.
Okay, how is that?
And oh, it's a blast. I have actual tennis elbow from it. So
That's actually fascinating. So, you've been gone. I got a Switch finally. I'm a part of the Switch Club. I'm the Switch Boys. Woo! Switch Buzz.
I was gonna say, don't say switch, but that's
Yeah, we-
it has a whole nother context online.
I knew it when I said it. I was just trying to balance the level out. I
See,
don't give a fuck.
I know you understood when you said it, but it was the fact that you kept hammered down.
Yep. Yep. You
You and I
either
both know.
you own it or you let it go, and I fucking own it.
You and I both know, James. If he had said switchblade, he would have somebody from freaking that's in Japan right now freaking coming to his door and kick his ass.
In Japan, dude, they're like 5'2". No one's gonna be
I'm
kicking
thinking
my
of.
ass.
Not the guy I'm thinking of. And he actually carries a switchblade with him.
Who, Yakamoto? Like, what the fuck? The owner of Capcom? Like, who are you talking about?
Switchblade Jay White.
Hideo
Who?
Kojima.
I
No.
still have no idea.
He's a wrestler.
We're,
Oh, no
we're
wonder
pa-
why I
we're-
don't know. There's only two wrestlers I know, and it's John Cena and The Rock, okay?
Of
Those are
course.
the only two I know and care about. And The Rock is looking pretty thick. Not gonna lie.
You don't know about the Undertaker?
Who? Oh,
Hogan?
yeah. I know him. Just not a
I
fan.
was going to say, if you
Not
didn't
a
know,
fan.
I'm leaving this fucking show.
Oh, I don't know him. That's how we get Charles to back out. He's like, man, if you say this, I'm leaving. And be like, oh no, I don't know him, dude. I don't know. I'm joking. By the way, Airsoft. Damn it.
Gosh darn it.
Man, one day I'll get it right. I got it right by accident once. One day I'll get it right again. But yeah, I got a Switch now. I only have Mario Kart because that's all me and Brittany play on it. It's in the living room. I have the office back here, but this is like the workstation. And then in the living room, we have our Samsung TV, we have our Switch, we have our Xbox, we have our N64. So we have that's like the family area where it's like the board games and stuff is out there. And then the office is all this. And I'm like, man, maybe I'm too much of a gamer when I literally go, okay, guys, I'm going to stop being back in the office. I need to take a break. I walk out of here, go in there, turn on the Xbox, and sit down and start playing Resident Evil. I'm like, maybe I'm too much of a gamer. I don't say, let me go touch some grass.
64?
Yeah, I have a
Oh,
Nintendo
you were-
64. Yeah.
You were talking about video games. I don't know if you could tell right there, but I got an Oculus.
Fuck you! Dude, I want one so bad. Resident Evil 4 is on the Oculus, and I went.
I actually haven't played that, but I've been playing a lot of Beat Saber. That's really fun.
Any good? Are you any good at it? I know the game's
Oh,
good.
am I good? Oh, yeah, I'm phenomenal, of course.
Now, does that have to do with your military experience?
What songs
That
do
one
you guys play?
probably has more to do with the fact that I played expert drums on Rock Band when I was in high school. So,
Fair.
Sorry, he was better.
Rocksmith is better. At least that
there's
teaches
this
you how to
game.
play.
There's this game on there. First off, Blade Sorcery, very fun.
Okay.
But there's this game called Onward, and basically it's like, have you heard of Pavlov? It's like that, but for the VR, but not for Steam, because Pavlov I think is VR as well. But it's kind of like that, but for the Oculus, and it's really fun. They basically
Okay.
just drop you in the middle of some town, and you gotta like get rid of patrols and stuff like that. It's really fun.
Okay.
But I also spend a lot of time on Rec Room, just laughing at little kids who aren't as, you know, good as me at certain things. That's the way the internet works, right?
In any of these games, have you played any where you have like free range of movement, where you can like walk down streets, climb stairs?
Yes. So they all do that.
Okay. And how do they
except for
pull
Beat
this
Saber,
feat?
not Beat Saber.
Yeah, Beat Saber. Yeah, that's kind of like the one where
You climbed the walls of Beat Saber. Just on this Spider-Man. Dun, dun, dun.
So here, give me a sec.
Imagine parkouring and Beat Saber at the same time. Pretty
there's
dangerous, but probably
Spider-Man
dope.
up on the
That's pretty
ceiling.
cool.
He's grabbing his flashlight.
So how it works is like when you have the headset on, you can like duck, crouch, jump, whatever, right? And it tracks all that because
Okay.
it senses like you have to put in your height and it senses the floor and then basically judges whatever you do from that. And then to move, you don't actually walk, you just kind of, whoops, see that little thing right there? That's your
Yep.
walking stick. So that's how you control. But yeah. But like in every game you play, you have to like walk around a room, walk down the street, walk
Ha-
500 miles and then walk 500 more usually. So
Well,
James,
I
question.
would walk 500
To
miles.
be the man who walks 500 miles.
walks 1,000 miles.
Okay,
Yeah.
Charles had a question.
Okay, is every motherfucker just dying today? Jesus fucking Christ!
He is Charles lives in a GTA 5 lobby.
I don't hope somebody died just there, but if somebody did die, I hope that Charles is the witness at the interview on the news. I was really doing the podcast.
I was in a production and fucking free my house.
I was sitting there talking about video games and some dude had the nerve to die.
Hey guys, shot 5 rounds in the chest. Pop, pop, pop.
Time we do one of these, or I'm trying to watch fucking wrestling. Some freaking fire truck or ambulance is always, or some douchebag redneck is driving by my house every fucking time.
I just visualize you just like on your phone, just like the siren goes off, you go out, chase after them, yelling at them.
Charles, believe it or not, I promise you, whoever had to call the ambulance or fire department is having a slightly worse time than you.
No, they're having a great time. They called because they took too many penis pills.
But there could be like there's like a doxing, like there's a lot of people who are not having that bad of a day, but they call 911.
Oh, yeah. Yep. See, so Charles is still on top.
If that was such a big issue in Charles's town, I think they would know by now.
You know what? Charles does live in GTA 5. No one's seen him in person. So he just lives in GTA 5. We've only seen him online, so you know what? I believe now. I'm a believer.
Yeah, so do you guys actually talk about video games on this show, or we just
here-
bully Charles?
Periodically.
We don't bully Charles. That's on my streams. Skullhunter / or Twitch / Skullhunter Games.
Almost got that plug out.
Dad, shut the fuck up. Let me do my thing.
Next episode, that's gonna be me and Jordan smashing their heads against a wall called Halo 3 on Legendary.
But I'm not gonna smash my head. I'm gonna be over exaggerating because Halo 3 is the easiest Halo game they ever made. So Legendary is gonna be a walkthrough.
Remember when we played Halo 3
We
Legendary?
got halfway through the game in
We
minutes.
got halfway through the game. Yeah, we got halfway through the game. Charles ran through, and then me and you just ruined his progress because we decided to kill civilians. Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Oh man, yeah. So for those of you who
That
haven't
entire
seen,
stream got deleted from my channel too because of that. That was funny.
so we couldn't post it on YouTube.
Freaking went after your ass because of that whole thing.
Well, we couldn't post it on YouTube because I got a community guideline strike that stated that you can't talk about shooting Marines or bashing their skulls in, and then
I think the word they used was terrorism. I think was the term that they used.
And then Facebook, they're like, yeah, this just doesn't suit our terms of agreement. So I was like, cool. So what I hear is we can't do this again. Because we would just go around bashing we were bashing individual skulls while Charles was trying to get through the level. and then they just opened fire.
Here's the
Okay.
thing: if you guys ever wanted to beat that, not online, we could. But when it comes to recording our adventures, I don't think that's gonna be plausible.
You know, I would be willing to
Just
risk
because I
it.
don't trust myself not to say something that's gonna get us banned.
Dude, so you weren't there for that. So I got banned from TikTok for like 2 days because I said titties.
Wow.
So me and Christy, we were filming something, and the killer kept letting her go in Dead by Daylight, and I was like, "Cause you got titties, Christy. Cause you got titties. I don't got no titties. If I had some titties, maybe I would get out." TikTok saw that and went, "No, we can't."
Are we live streaming this?
Their viewers are like, "Okay, turn around, let's go." Let's
It's
fuck
just
up this one guy's
fire
day.
truck. It's just one fire truck just circulating his house.
Just circling the block. Oh man, I love the idea. Like, you have some people that get famous for like being a good content creator, or some people get famous for their voices. Charles is gonna be famous because of all the fucking fire trucks outside his house. It's not a stream until a fire truck goes by.
Do you live in the Amazon? Or is it constantly on fire over there? What's going on?
I don't know. I figure it must be living in like some freaking San Andreas or some shit. Cause goddamn.
Maybe
He is an NPC in GTA5. Some dude's out there with a flamethrower.
not a flamethrower. Let's make sure that's
Allegedly.
right.
Allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly. Oh man, or maybe Charles was a part of that IHOP situation.
What's actually happening is every fire truck in Charles's town got called to respond to the incident in Canada about the island.
That's a way to tie a couple
This
bits
shit's
together.
still going on week 2. They're like,
The
man,
Canadian
this
fire
IHOP
trucks
is
were all
still
busy
burning."
shoveling snow, so we had to call in extra help.
So video
the
games. Did you guys know? In video games that Fall Guys is gonna be free to play in June, on June 16th? Fall Guys will be free to play.
On
So,
Xbox here?
as someone
Not
going
on
into
Xbox.
this, someone going into this completely blind,
Mm-hmm.
you said free on Xbox?
No, free on Steam and PlayStation. They don't have it.
Is this a permanent thing, or is this kind of like a Game Pass situation here?
I don't think.
I think it's just they're going free to
I think
play.
they're just gonna go free to play.
Good.
That
I
would
heard
be fun.
I heard Among Us did that, or is going to do that. I think the biggest thing as to what's happening is a lot of these games they ebb and flow in popularity,
Mm-hmm.
and so they obviously had a peak, and that peak obviously has went down dramatically since a
Yep.
couple years ago when it was popular. So what's happening now is they're going free to play, and so what that's doing is going to hopefully get more people interested, or people who were interested are not going to be able to get their friends in it. And it's going to get that popularity back up.
Yep. More
I
than
think it's a
likely.
good business move because I think Fall Guys was like $10 anyway. So I feel like they've probably made their money off of that, and plus they have in-game things you could buy like costumes or whatever. So I think free to play is probably the right move here, especially if they're trying to get back into being popular, or at least have more concurrent players, because that's the biggest metric that they measure everything by now is they do how to do sales wise and how many concurrent players are there.
Yeah. And I think with their downloadable content or in-game purchases, that's how they're gonna make their money. Because like you said, the game kind of fell off after so long. Once you stopped getting the big streamers playing it, like people are still playing Among Us, but Among Us is free to play everywhere. They've been like that since, like 3 months after launching. Whenever PewDiePie stopped playing it, everyone's like, okay, let's make it free to play. Then you could just download it anywhere and play it. I think it was because they could not charge on mobile. I think that was one of the reasons. They could not find a way to make people pay for it on mobile, and they switched.
So no.
No?
With Apple, if you recall, I don't know if you guys talked about it or I talked about it or we all talked about it, but with the Fortnite thing on mobile, their issue with the Apple Game Store was the fact that they were undercutting Apple basically by when you made a purchase in Fortnite on mobile, it would take you to the Fortnite website instead of through the Apple Store.
Yeah.
And Apple was really upset about that because when every purchase made on Apple has to get the 7.5% tax cut to Apple, or 10% or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the big thing. I think the creators of Among Us wanted to avoid that as well by, one, not giving Apple their cut, but also two, not making players pay more because they wouldn't discount their prices, obviously, to make up for that percentage of cut they would take. So in the end, mobile players would pay more. So I think they were just trying to avoid that altogether. Yeah, but when it comes back to free to play, I think that if you're a game, they obviously made as much. They hit the peak of how much money they were going to make, obviously. So I think going free to play here is probably the best move if you want to get more concurrent players or people talking about your game again.
Do you think
Yeah.
that the designers had always intended that they would go free to play at some point? Or do you think it's that, oh, well, you know what, maybe we should probably just do this? And so that was more of like a change of heart for them.
Potentially, they could have wanted to go free to play from the beginning, but when you put out a game, you have to go through a publisher. Maybe the publisher was like, let's charge something here. Because like even Among Us was like $5.
Mhm.
Fall Guys I think was 10 or $15 or whatever. Like these weren't big AAA prices, but I think the publishers that they went through were like, hey, we have to charge something.
Yeah. Now, there was another game. I don't know if we'll be able to bring out that story, but I linked to the article about what's going on with TF2. But TF2, I think, is the most famous example of going free to play.
Yes.
And I bought the game for $20 on sale, and I remember even when it first released, it was more money than that. So my question is, how should a designer treat the long-term fans who did pay the money to enjoy the game, and now they might feel burned by the fact that other people are now accessing the game for free?
So I have the perfect example of that.
Go
Hold on.
on.
Hold on.
Father. Okay, well, so we don't have any dead space. I think the good thing that you could sit there and do with this is that I think why they shouldn't feel like they got burned is because of the fact that they had the chance to play and they played it for this so much of a time period while they were sitting there getting all this stuff done. So they had all this time to play it. They've already got their content. They already got all this stuff. And now making it free to play. If anything, they're rewarding them with now they're giving more people who can now play the game. They're now kind of giving them that, hey, now you have more people to actually find lobbies in and to troll on, to tell them to go GG. Like, I was going to say eat shit, but I decided to go nice. But
Same thing.
yeah. So, James,
All
what were you going to say?
Yes. So as you guys know, I play a lot of Counter-Strike.
What?
I bought Counter-Strike almost when it first came out for like $20.
Damn.
Like 4 years ago, they went free to play. But when they went free to play, they introduced this new system called Prime. So basically, any person who had bought the game before it had went free to play was automatically enrolled into Prime and didn't have to go through all that. Whereas everybody now has to pay to get into Prime. And what Prime is basically like, guarantees you will play with less cheaters, guarantees you that you will have a higher trust factor when it comes to matchmaking, and stuff like that. And it sounds pretty dumb, but if you play a lot of Counter-Strike like I do, like almost having that guarantee of not playing with cheaters and getting into lobbies of like less toxic people is like it's worth the $15 or whatever it is, or $10, whatever it is, to not do that. So the fact that they rewarded the people who had bought the game from the beginning, they go like, hey,
So,
you get.
I was with you on the first part where there was a premium service that the long-term players would just automatically get. Basically, their money was redirected into the Prime fund. However, the features that they offered in particular seem like the kind of features that every player should have. Not being able to have to worry about cheaters and
But that's the thing when it
drop
comes
matches.
that's the thing when it comes to free to play games. There's always going to be cheaters because they can make a new account like that. Look at like Valorant, right?
Yep.
Valorant's free to play. They had a huge cheater thing, and they had an invasive anti-cheat, and people were still getting around it. So there's that. But another thing is they could have went free to play from the beginning. No, not necessarily, but when they started introducing like skins and stuff like that, and introducing like the CS:GO majors going on right now, like the major championships going on. and they sell stickers and souvenir guns and stuff like that during every major. They make a ton of money just off the in-game items alone, like enough to warrant it being free to play. And I think that's part of the reason why as to why they did it. So that's just Counter-Strike's example. But yeah, like you said, every player who picks up a game and plays it should be entitled to not play against cheaters, should be entitled to not play against toxic people. But when it comes to the free to play realm, you're gonna get that. I mean, you get that with Call of Duty, and that's not free to play. So
Well,
just
I know
imagine
it.
something
No,
you could
that
just
is.
make a throwaway account on. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I understand that, and sympathy for also people who are playing MMORPGs where they're paying a monthly fee and sinking their livelihoods into it, only to find out other people, well, not cheating in the conventional sense, like loading up a hack, but are cheating in the sense that maybe they're buying gold and resources off. Charles, what game are you holding?
Destiny 2.
Destiny 2. Okay. Also, real quick, I don't know if it was just like a trick of the camera, but it looked like there was an alien abduction going on outside of your door. There was just
We're gonna
blue
talk
and just
about that?
blinking lights.
Oh, dude, yes. So he opened up the door for you audio listeners. He opened up his back door in his room, and it looked like Chicken Little.
Who, Charles?
No, you.
Me?
Yeah, you opened up the door and we were just seeing like blinking lights, and it's like,
Because I have that's my bedroom, and
That's
my wife
Bow
was
Wow.
yelling at me because I'm loud, so she says, and I have a strand of lights that go around my room,
Okay. That's
okay.
and the camera probably didn't. It probably wasn't
No, the
focused over there,
refresh.
so it didn't pick it up. So it just kind of.
It was a neat effect. I liked it.
It just
Now,
it looked like Chicken Little was happening. That's all I can
so
say.
with me and with TF2, just to answer my own question as well, is it didn't bother me just because like you were saying, Jordan, I've had time to enjoy the content, and I got my enjoyment out of it, and going free to play didn't, at least temporarily, increase my enjoyment of the game because I was so experienced at the game at that point that all of these new players were flooding into the servers, and I was just rampaging, just gunning them down. And I actually briefly got to experience the game the way the soldier experiences it in his promo video. So that was a blast. Like it was fun initiating all the new players into it. Can we bring up TF2, the bot thing? Was that part of the plot of the plan? Or are we gonna?
You do you.
We're so close to talking about it. I feel like we
We're
might as well
already
just
on
do
the
it.
sub. This is already its thing.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
So
Take over.
Team Fortress 2 has a massive problem right now, and it's one that I experienced firsthand. Me and one of my friends in his like gamer group, we wanted to find something to do. I even talked to you guys about it at one point. Try to find some like consistent thing that we can get together and play.
Yep.
And I thought TF2 would have been it. But when we got into the game, any empty slot, and these games can go up to like 24v24, any empty slot was filled by bots. Bots that would pick the sniper character, and they would just aim upwards until they were programmed to see an enemy, and then they would just pop headshot, and that was it. And unless you happen to be on a full server, these things were just an absolute nightmare. And so I linked an article about it from IGN.com that the players are just trying to find any means they can to get the message to Valve and say, you've got to do something about this. This is totally ruining the game. And not unlike a hilarious, a character loses 5 points of damage, literally unplayable. Like an actually, like they can't play the game. As soon as they spawn in, they're getting gunned down by 6 separate snipers. And the worst part of it is that these bots are also programmed to take the names of players who are already in and then initiate votes to kick. So it makes it look like the players, us potentially, are trying to antagonize other players, and people are like, no, it isn't me. It's funny when you see it once, but over the course of like an hour's worth of play, it kept happening and happening and happening. So I think it's great to just like tie that into like, what does a free to play game like that do now that they don't really have the revenue stream to answer a problem like this? Because this could take a huge chunk of money to even attempt to fix, which is probably why it hasn't been fixed yet. It's been like 2 years now.
So you brought up TF2, which has this issue, but that really happens to a lot of quote unquote dead games. And Valve is notorious for, taking on 18 projects and then focusing on one. And that's kind of what happened with TF2. Like they updated it, I think it was a couple years ago. They had an update for it, and then they haven't touched it since.
Just to clarify real quick, it's Titanfall 2, right?
Team Fortress 2.
Team Fortress 2.
I couldn't tell if that one was.
No, I was being 100% honest.
Okay.
I didn't pull up my phone until literally just now.
Yeah.
Sure. I wanted to clarify it in case no one knows.
But the same thing happened with like Left 4 Dead 2. They didn't touch it for like 5 years. They had an update a couple years ago, and then they went back to not touching it. Really, the only game that that Valve I think is really keeping up with is CS:GO, like actively. I think
there's
Dota as well,
Dota,
actively.
Yeah.
So
For me, sorry, Charles. For me, the phrasing to me is like I'm hyper specific about it. For me, a dead game is a game that you actually is just like doesn't exist on the servers. Maybe a few people are holding on to it and life support on some private server somewhere. But for me, it's like stagnant. It's a decaying game. Well, that's the
beautiful thing about them making the game and them owning the server is they don't necessarily have to shut down the server. It could just be there, and no one's really. They might have one or two people watching it. When I say one or two people, I mean entities. There might be more than that. I don't know how big Valve is employee-wise, but it's just one of those things where, yeah, it's free to play. It's not bringing in money. Yeah, the people might be buying the hats or whatever, but you know what's in it for them? You know, because they're at the point now. Is like, how much bigger is this fan base gonna get? Like, because I don't really see. If you haven't heard of Team Fortress 2 by now, and you haven't played it by now, you're probably not going to. You know what I mean?
You can't say the same thing for Anthem. Hey!
Still never played Anthem. I never will.
Yeah, the Anthem was a big mistake.
Also, just random. Is that the same kitten you've had for a while before, James?
Yes, that is Mary, Queen of Scots.
Okay. He looked different. That's why I was wondering. Was she?
She got fat.
I can barely see it behind your mic. That's why I'm wondering.
I just love the idea of, you know, oh, your cat looks different, and just a steady voice of, she got fat.
I like it when James puts his pets in his room. Especially his dog.
Hey, if it gets us some views.
The reason why she's at the door right now is because my dog's directly on the other side of the door.
Like freaking Marmaduke and that kitten freaking messing around with each other?
What'd you say? I'm sorry.
They're like freaking like Marmaduke and that cat that he always had around with him?
Yeah, like that.
Oliver Company.
Well, friends, this has been fun, but I think I gotta go get some milk, so...
Okay.
God damn it, I don't even have the freaking Gangsta's Paradise thing queued up.
Okay,
well,
go get your milk. Come on back whenever you get it.
I'll see you guys when I get back from the store, all right?
Okay.
Oh God.
It's okay. Just take a breath. Take a breath. So yeah, Team Fortress 2. Anything else on that?
I mean, that game is like, I would say that's the canary in the coal mine. If a game like that doesn't, because I mean, y'all are right. Like it's 15 years old. It doesn't have a massive fan base, and it's not like a huge moneymaker, but it's still a legacy. And I think Valve's reputation will have something to answer. Like it's not good for Valve's reputation, although I don't think anything can really like bring them down. You know, they keep putting out so many great games that have just been absolute legends in gaming history. So
I have an idea what could. If they ever finally make Left 4 Dead 3 or Half-Life 3 and they end up sucking. Cyberpunk!
Well, Cyberpunk is apparently actually good when it works. When Cyberpunk actually works, people loved it.
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention it, but I saw a TikTok video. Someone was like, yeah, it's good now. 9 out of 10. It's only been like what, a year and a half?
Yeah, maybe 2.
Yeah, well, that open beta.
I still miss all the freaking meme videos like cars getting launched halfway across the city.
Dude, my we talked about this on an old episode of the podcast, but my favorite part of Cyberpunk was when you're giving the crippled a way to walk. Like, that was the best thing. You hit a person that's crippled, they stand up and just run. You're like, I gave you the power! Like, those were the best videos ever for for Cyberpunk before they turn dead. Real fast, I'm curious. Okay, perfect. So yeah,
This topic of like the free-to-play games and everything. But actually, kind of excited when freaking work with me, Cameron. When Destiny 2 went free-to-play, because they made all the expansions out beforehand, freaking free too. And basically, you don't have to pay any money for the game. If you're like me, you get certain version of the game or whatever expansion's coming out, and you get seasons, so you don't have to pay for it. Well, some people will probably who don't do that, freaking probably end up paying for the seasons and everything. It's pretty much like they did the whole thing like Call of Duty and Fortnite did with the whole freaking season pass crap, which in my case, I have that freaking fully unlocked in the first couple months.
but here's the thing is with the difference of like buying like your Xbox pass, like what a season pass was originally. A season pass was any DLCs that came out through the year, you would automatically get added to your game. Versus now, a season pass is all in-game content that's never planned to be a DLC. They just are added in, and that's how they do it. Now, I think that it's bogus because, let's be honest, a lot of the season pass weren't ever up to the actual money of it. Like, you would pay $100 for a season pass with the game, and you get one DLC, and it was $15. And you're like, oh, cool. The math doesn't fucking add up. And of course, they don't change the season pass until after it's released. And they're like, oh, yeah, we released the DLC. We don't plan to release another. Season pass is now, you could pay $80, $70. $70 seem good. And yeah, no,
I mean, that's how it was with this, because this one in the first game freaking came in with 2 expansions both times. And then after those came out, freaking they would release a bigger expansion, which would basically be like another version of the game, but freaking, you know. And then now they're doing the whole seasonal crap between expansions. They're trying to avoid the whole thing like what happened with the first game, where like there was long periods of time where there was like nothing. People had to pretty much find shit to do while we waited for something.
I think we're starting to see it with a lot of games. Is after so long, people are just trying to find things to do with it. Especially like you play a game for so long. Any game that can last 3 years, especially with our current day to day, if you can have a game that lasts 3 years of constant players at an X amount, it's a pretty good game. I mean, when it's all said and done,
It can be done.
But I think whenever you have a game, something like Among Us, that was out for years before anyone ever played it, I think that shows you like it's good, but you have to market it quick. And Among Us did a great job with it. Among Us did an amazing job at, as soon as it launched, they did not hold back. Or once it started picking up speed, they did not hold back. They immediately updated. They immediately started doing stuff. They immediately started giving you stuff. Like, they did a good job with it. But for other examples, things like Fall Guys, it blew up immediately, and now it's downhill. It didn't even hit the 2-year mark before they lost over 70% of their gamers, and definitely a big chunk of their streamers who were doing it. Streamers were a big reason on why the game was being played, because they would let their community play with them. You didn't need to communicate with anyone. Just compete for the crown. It was a much easier time.
Yeah, I don't want to sound like I'm knocking the game just because I haven't tried it. It's just I look at the formula for the game, and I have a hard time seeing its long-term sustainability because it's a very specific gameplay experience. And now that there's lots of specific gameplay experiences that can last a long time. I guess when I saw Fall Guys, I thought like the whole like trying to survive was like one component of a much broader game, where there's maybe like more of a combat focused one. There's like a skydiving one. I don't know. Like I said, just to me it's hyper specific. But again, it was also $10, so I'm sure it was worth the money for people who did buy it.
A lot of people loved it.
But so one point that I want to make is about in the Smash community, the Smash Ultimate is the most popular one, but not by much. Super Smash Bros. Melee is still regarded as the most competitive one of the bunch, and that game came out when the Nintendo GameCube was released. Like I was a kid, and I think you two still had Tails, if you know what I mean. And like that game, that never got patched, even though it desperately needed a few patches. That game still has to be played on CRTs because it never got an HD update. But the thing that makes that game so replayable is that every time you start a new round, there are so many things that the players will have no idea what's going to happen. There's always something unexpected. There's always randomness. There's always a sense of trying to adapt to the scenario. And that's even taking out items. That's even taking out stage hazards. That's only doing like Final Destination 1v1s. There's still so much that can happen in it because the mindset of the player changes from round to round.
Yep.
I think the original Halo multiplayer on that, I would put it right up there with it. There's so many things that can happen in a game of Slayer that like every time somebody jumps in, it's going to be fun all over again.
Yep, and different things you could do with your friends, different challenges you could set for yourself, versus a game like, I hate to say it, but a game like Among Us, and I'm bringing Among Us back in because you see it, you can't do much with it. It's an imposter. After so long with the same friend group, you can't play it anymore because they all know your fucking tricks. You can't go, I'm gonna fuck around and do nothing. No, because they're already gonna know your tricks. You're either gonna get killed, not be able to do the things you wanted to do, or you just, it's not the same. It's not the same. But I think that's another example of
I got
finished
super
games.
salty over that game too, by the way, because first time I played it with a group of friends, I was accused of the imposter 4 times in a row because I was doing things that looked sus, but I never played the game before, so I'm trying to like get my bearings and I'm trying to explain that to them, and not in a fun, jokey, oh this is just a game kind of way, but I'm like, are you guys kidding me? I'm trying to learn this fucking game and you keep telling me that I'm sus. Knocked out 4 times in a row. Wasn't the imposter 4 times in a row. I was like, I'm actually kind of pissed off. Like, I feel like this like went past gaming into hazing or something like that. So
Yeah. I wanna dive into kind of that in Among Us real quick, because Among Us, I literally got to play for the first time. I played with 8 streamers. So me and 8 other streamers, or I think it was technicality, 7 other streamers got together and we were all like, let's play Among Us. And that was the best and worst time ever because I never played Among Us beforehand. And so like the experience like you, except I never got voted as being the one because I would just respond with my witty comments or my, my sense of humor. So they'd be like, Jordan, yeah, what were you doing? Or my name's Hunter in there. So I'll be like, they'll be like, Hunter, yeah, what were you doing? I don't know. He's good. Okay, what were you doing? I'm like, I don't honestly know. I was doing the credit card swipe thing, could not do it. They were assuming that I was the imposter because I just couldn't do it. I'm standing there trying to swipe it, and there's even a TikTok, an old TikTok of that, and they're trying to swipe it for 30 seconds and it wouldn't go through, and then I got ejected off, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And then the one time I was imposter, I went, okay, this is how it goes. I played imposter, killed Christy, and then just didn't do a damn thing for the rest of the game. Christy's one of our team members for Skull Hunters, and I killed her, did not bother anyone else. They all knew it was me. She immediately comes out screaming, why did you kill me? I was like, past aggression. It's like, all the times before, but whenever we would get teamed up together, we would end the game so quick. But it also, like, your friend group has a lot to do with that. Like, it's good friends. It's good to do. Random people that you never met before, it's probably one of the worst things to do. Or not even like not met, but not even got to really socially interact. Like, I messaged these guys through like Instagram and stuff, but never actually got to interact with them until then. And that was just a whole experience, because then you're like, you don't know their tones, you don't know if they're joking, you don't know when they're funny, so they sound pissed, and you're like, did I hit a nerve? Is that possible in a game? You know what? Let's just assume I did.
But what's more, I think, reflective of what the scenario would actually be like, because I always imagine that these crew people, they haven't met anybody else. Like, this is like their first day on the job together, and they're just trying to survive like their first day. And so not knowing the other players, I think, is more accurate to the experience that they're trying to convey in it. Whereas, like, you can't be this familiar with people that you've been familiar with for years and then not know who the imposter is in a work scenario. Yeah.
I mean, I definitely get it. Because like it does, that makes it seem more like the game's fashion and being like, you don't know these people, you all just started hopping on a ship and now there's someone coming around here killing people with their tongue. Like, you want to figure it out. There's some Men in Black shit going on. You're trying to figure out who's poking people. So yeah, I get it.
By the way, have you ever seen The Thing?
The Thing sounds familiar, but no, I don't think so.
I hope I get this right. John Carpenter's The Thing. It would start with Kurt Russell and the guy who voiced Arbiter.
Keith David.
Keith David, yeah, Keith David is in it. That movie is, this is how I make that movie appealing to Gen Zers. That movie is Among Us, but in the Arctic.
And you said The Thing?
Yeah, or maybe it was just Thing. Either The Thing or Thing. Pretty sure it's The Thing.
It's literally just called The Thing.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, just looking at the photos of it, I could definitely see the Among Us appeal, but I think the only reason I could no, honestly, like literally looking at the photos, if you play Among Us, you think Among Us, just in all RL. Yeah. Okay, might have to. There was only an Among Us photo of the Thing on there. That's pretty awesome. But yeah, so that was kind of the Among Us thing, but I think it's definitely, and I know we talk about it a lot, but I really make it across. I really want a full game. I want a game that's made, like you were talking about, like Smash Bros. They made the full game, and you can still play it today, and it's still as fun. It's still as interesting. I want that. I want it so bad. And Resident Evil 8 right now is the closest thing I have to it. The game's done. There's no patches. There's no nothing else it needs done. There's no nerfing. There's no buffing. There's no DLCs at the moment. It's the game. And it's so much fun. I've been just having so much fun just taking an hour every week or every day or whatever. Just sit down and actually just play a finished game. And I want it. I want more. I want more finished games that you can play in 5 years and still have fun. I want to see more of that. What's that?
Basically Borderlands 2.
Yes and no. Because you still have the keys. You still have the shift keys. And you're like,
No,
okay.
they're not gonna keep doing that forever. Eventually, they're gonna stop if they haven't already.
But that's the point. Is like people are still fucking with the game. People can still mess with the game versus something like a PS1 game or a PS2 game. They no longer can touch that game. The game's done. The game's out. Like that's what I'm meaning.
Killers. There's a guy on YouTube I watched. Apparently, he has this like PC mod or whatever for Borderlands 2. It's like has improvements and everything, and actually has weapons I think that the community made and everything in it for Borderlands 2. That's also a thing that people would be able to do to keep, spending more time in Borderlands 2 is like doing that whole thing that has like that makes the game have certain. I forget what it was that came with it. I think this PC like mod I think for Borderlands 2 like I said that added new weapons and I think that was made by community people. If they can like had some improvements that the Gearbox themselves didn't do or whatever.
Yeah, I mean that's nice, but when you have a no, all I was gonna say is like that is definitely nice, but when you have to mod a game to make it fun to play again, that's where I have the issues. Like we need a game, we need more games out that you don't no online connections, just you could sit down, you could play it and not have no one touching it, and it's still fun. Not the same thing on repeat. Not when you're online playing with randoms, it's just a game that's finished. A game that's finished. No one touches. No one needs to mod. It's truly just fun and entertaining, and it can carry you through your day. Like I want to see more of that, and I'm glad like people are doing that with like Borderlands 2 on PC. Is making ways so they can play their favorite game, and that's where I'm assuming why this guy's doing is like he loves Borderlands 2. He wants to continue to have fun with Borderlands 2. 100% down with that. I just want to see more games that you don't need to do that. And that's
so
kind
a
of
couple
where
things.
I'm
One of them is that like you're gonna have to dig into Gaming Pass for this. If you were to go through the console lifespans starting from the NES up until I would say Xbox 360, you'll find tons of games that are done and are still masterpieces. Chrono Trigger on the Super Nintendo, Secret of Mana, also Super Nintendo. The Streets of Rage series on Sega Genesis, obviously I'm a big fan of that.
That one, I know those two. Okay. 3 of 6 so far.
Like the first couple of Ratchet and Clank games.
Never heard
Freedom
of those.
Fighters.
Never heard of that.
Have you not played Ratchet and Clank and you're a PlayStation freaking fanatic?
I'm not! I'm not a PlayStation fanatic. I just grew up with the PlayStation.
So did I, but I still freaking switched over to the Xbox.
The whole Zelda series. you get into the Zelda series, you're gonna be good for a good long while.
Mm-hmm. That's fair.
So that's my first thing. It's just like we've touched on this point a few times, but I think it's worth bringing up here. Is just like games are a lot more expensive to make and maintain, but they don't necessarily get to charge more because gamers won't accept like an $80 to $90 price tag unless they're getting like an action figure with it or something. It's just, and not to mention they're competing with like free to play games. So there's all of that, and also books. I told you guys I was digging up a bunch of my old stuff to start getting rid of some things, and I'm like, hey, you know what I haven't read in a while? My Harry Potter novels. The fifth one in the series, I hadn't bought it, and so I decided to order it off Amazon. And I've been reading it for the last week. I'm like, damn, this is still good quality
World of
writing.
Warcraft. They made a book of that. Why?
Yeah, of course.
Is that like a lore
books.
book? Maybe. Is that what it is? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I've read some of the I've read some of the Diablo ones in the past.
Okay.
And books, even though it's like nothing really changes, right? Because it's freaking words printed on paper. But part of reading is the delight of hearing the words in your own head. Words have a poetic, almost musical quality to them. So when we read them and we hear the words in our minds, there is enjoyment in that. There's pleasure in that. Mm-hmm. And the Harry Potter novels are children's books. I'm not going to pretend like they're not. There's more mature stories out there. But it's still like, for me, I'm just loving the series because it's just like I actually like exit my world for a little bit and actually feel like I'm participating in another one. So there's that. There's obviously like TV series and movies that you can get into. But again, to specifically hammer the point home about games, a retro library will go a long way. And then just like looking carefully, I especially like indie games, I think, for instance, are going to be a good direction to go, just because I think indie games, they don't have the same resources or capacity to continue making like adding more content to these. Like there's a Zelda game that came out where you play a fox. It's not an official Zelda game, but it's like obviously inspired by Zelda. It's called Tunic. Okay. I don't know if they're going to add any more content to that. I don't think they need to. That game is like, that is done. So they're definitely out there. I just think the more high profile you get with the games, the less likely we're going to get what we're asking for here, because these games have continued pressure to be continued money makers. Even Breath of the Wild had DLC. I never paid for it, by the way. I never bought the DLC for it. I don't care. Give me the finished experience. Show some respect. This is like one of the most important series in all of gaming, and you're trying to sell me a motorcycle? Get the fuck out of here.
Final Fantasy.
Fair. I think Zelda is better than Final Fantasy. Zelda doesn't seem drug through the mud that much versus Final Fantasy.
I mean,
hey, it's good.
It's still very popular. Thinking there's freaking millions of people playing that damn thing. Up to the point that they weren't even able to sell the game at one point.
I think my biggest beef with Final Fantasy is they are copy and paste. They haven't tried to do anything really new, and the things they tried to do new, they did not listen at all. It was like, I'm trying to find a good example.
8, 11, which was basically the first MMO that they tried.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of that. I'm trying to find like a very good example of what they did that the community said no to pretty much, and then they said, okay, great, we're going to feed off that. The one where it was
like 4 guys in a car. I don't think the community cared for that one very much.
I don't think it was that one. I don't think it's
the one with lightning.
Yeah.
I think that's the one. People didn't like that because it was limited for the first. Now I will push back a little bit, just because like Final Fantasy, they basically don't stick to the same characters ever. Well, a couple of sequels here or there, but for the most part, they always come up with a new world, a new cast of characters, new themes and stuff like that. And they try to come up with a new combat system, so they do mix things up from game to game.
Yeah,
I'd say that there's much more guilty parties than Final Fantasy when in terms of like copying and pasting.
Call of Duty.
Well, Call of Duty, you're kind of forced to also. And you can't see progression of Call of Duty, but when your game
Call of Duty has new campaigns every time.
Yeah, they have new campaigns, but when it's all said and done, it's a shooter game. what else do you expect is gonna happen when you play a shooter game? But now, with that also being said, you can watch them progress. You get like, hey, you get a cutscene and you can't do shit. You put your controller down and wait for the cutscene to end. Now you get a cutscene and you can move your eyes around. And then some cutscenes you actually need to interact with. And Halo did the same thing with Halo 4. They let you interact with cutscenes more to the point where you actually had to like dodge things through a cutscene, different things like that. Like, you know, you have. Go ahead.
And there was the whole thing where you had to freaking press a button at the right time to freaking stick a grenade to the didact at the end.
Yeah, I mean, but you watch that progression, and like that's kind of the same thing that Call of Duty's decided to do. Is they're like, let's grow a progression versus a game like Final Fantasy. And I'm not hating on Final Fantasy, but for a game that has how many, and it's the same thing. Like it's on. I hate to say it's the same thing, but when you have a game that has such a wide opportunity, why not make it something more? And the times they did try, they didn't really test that well. They released, yeah, but they would release like dumb shit or ones that they didn't expect much off of, and then going, here's this, and it's like, this has nothing to do with Final Fantasy. This could be named a Star of 8, and it could have been its own game. It had nothing to do with Final Fantasy. And then they're like, let's test it out with this. Call it Final Fantasy. And then going, that's a terrible. You called it Final Fantasy. And you sat there and copy and paste and then did a little bit of sprinkle of something new. Of course, no one liked it. But it just kind of goes back into the same thing. Like, listen to your communities as best as possible. And we're starting to see a lot more game developers really open up and listen a little bit more. We're also seeing game developers getting in major lawsuits still. But we also see, once again, more game developers actually opening up, listening to their community. There's a new horror game that released, Evil Dead. It's based off the TV show Evil Dead that's on Netflix right now. And yeah, they made a game based around it, and they listened to their community almost since day one of making the game. And they did a fantastic job. Like, no, go ahead.
I was gonna say, freaking the Madden series is really guilty of freaking copy and paste, and they don't even really update, making a change to the game, even when people have been bitching about the same shit every year. Like Madden freaking has been freaking shown that they literally just take a game from the prior year and just slap freaking maybe a couple of new things on there. Freaking they don't even try to hide the fact that it's basically the game from the previous year, just with freaking logos and everything, and maybe a bit of a roster update. Just freaking look at some of Angry Joe's freaking Madden freaking videos and freaking see what I'm talking about. They literally got busted for literally having shit from the previous game freaking in the newest one.
See, that's on the crime of copy and paste. I feel like we really need to get out of that. And I feel like Zelda did a great job with exploring other options while still having it be the things that people liked. Like the inventory systems, to the combat systems, to the way the angles are, adding in new features into the game, adding a new kind of storyline into the Zelda games. And I would love to go back through and play all the Zeldas. I've said this on many podcasts. I would love to sit down and just like go through. Like if there was a hour-long video that could tell me everything in a Zelda series like that and give me all the best moments of like in the games, 100%. I would watch it. I would 100% watch that.
Before anybody freaking gives us any shit about Halo and Borderlands being copy-paste, at least with Borderlands, if we can change it up freaking with each game, and usually there's some different and new shit that wasn't in the previous one. In Halo's case, it's kind of the same thing, mainly with the more recent ones.
All right, who do you gents think is the most copy and pasted game? My answer, gut reaction, Assassin's Creed.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%. Everyone wanted a fucking jump button. I think they finally put one in. And everyone hated the game itself. Had nothing to do with the jump button. But Assassin's Creed is 100% copy and paste. There's no bits or buts about it. It's like Forza. Forza's no, you know what? Forza.
Well, once you get into sports games, it's like a
I thought about that. I was like, you know what? That's bad to go into. It's sports. It's copy paste. You can go outside to watch a sports game and it's copy and paste. Something different might happen,
sports.
But yeah.
You can play soccer. You can't just go back in time and kill a man.
I mean, yes, you are right. Yes, you can't go back in time to kill a man, but you can do it. You just can't go back in time to do it. Don't recommend it.
One or the other.
You know, yeah, one or the other. If you get time travel, please DM me.
There's actually a game where you actually freaking where it starts off where you're a soldier during Custer's last stand. Right as Custer eats the freaking arrow that kills him, you get transported to the future where you become an agent. This freaking I forget what it was, where you get sent to the past and you have to save certain historical figures and everything. And if you kill too many of those historical figures, they send freaking other agents with high-tech futuristic weapons so you can kill those guys for the use, but it's not recommended. And also, it's on the box cover of the game to also not leave the futuristic weapons in the past.
Sounds like Assassin's Creed.
Are we still talking about Assassin's Creed, or is this a different game?
It sounds like what you would imagine Assassin's Creed would do, especially like Assassin's Creed 3.
This game sounds dope. What game are you talking about here?
I forget what it's called, but it was like in my opinion, from what I've seen, it looked like a low-budget first-person shooter. Which it was.
Well, okay. Now we're all running short on our time here. But one other thing I did wanted to get across was we finally finished Borderlands Tiny Tina's Wonderland, and I can finally give it a solid review. And I'm talking full honesty. If you were ever thinking about wanting to play the game, buy the game, I gave an opinion when I first played it, and I think it was wrong opinion. I said I don't think they did a good job at getting to new audience. I was fucking wrong. 110. I know more people who never played Halo or never played Borderlands, never liked Borderlands, or played it and hated it, that absolutely loves this game. So, honestly, I was wrong with that, but my personal opinions on Borderlands is Borderlands Tiny Tina Wonderland. Out of 10, I would give it a solid 8. A solid 8.
Yeah.
Like,
all right.
There's some things I would change. The ending was really disappointing. Not even the boss fight was this. We went in way lower level and still whooped his ass, but it was like how they ended everything. Like, you have games that have such like a good climax ending. Like, you feel satisfied when you beat the game. You're like, fuck yeah, you get a little emotional connection to it. This just did not have it. I don't know if maybe I'm just dead inside or if it was just not there. Like, it did not. It felt like I literally just beat up normal boss and went, cool. What's next? Oh, there's nothing else? Okay.
Just those freaking dungeons that they're releasing that you might, as far as I know, you may not be being charged money for.
Yeah, I mean, there's those, but like the game itself, like the ending for the game, like obviously they might add in more stuff and they were adding in the dungeons and stuff like that. But as it goes for like the end, like the final game ending, like Borderlands 2, great example of a great ending. Love Borderlands 2 ending. Borderlands 3, you know, it had a good ending. You know, spoilers, some people might have died.
I just don't like freaking how they freaking put so much emphasis on that little fucking twat, freaking bitch, fucking Ava. Fuck you, Ava!
But you see right there, it makes you like actually have an emotion to it. Like, it's like, oh, you did this, or oh, this happened at the end. The end literally gave you some sort of emotion. This one gave me nothing. It was so soft. It could not get stiff with a pill.
And before anybody asks, freaking, I see the director's cut freaking thing that they cut out of the game with Ava and Lilith's conversation before the end of the game. That's
You didn't even bring a priest to a playground.
We're talking about Ava. She's a young child. I'm gonna move away from that. But yeah. To finish on the Borderlands topic real fast is, I would highly recommend if it's cheap or if you have the money, I would highly recommend playing it if you do like a role-playing game. I would just be ready for a disappointing ending, like one that doesn't make you feel like you've played the game. There's a boss way earlier in the game that actually makes you feel like you've beat the game. What's that?
Is that the Cthulhu one?
I'm thinking the unicorn.
Oh.
That boss actually makes you feel like you beat the game. And it was challenging at the time. But biggest thing was, like I said, it had more of a connection to it. It was like, oh my god, you sat there and you killed the fucking unicorn. I'm not giving too many spoilers, but like, there's a unicorn you kill. You know, it's just, I just want better endings.
Something as like It's somebody who hasn't played it, but it's called Tiny Tina's Wonderland. I think I would have unconsciously worked out the prospect of killing a unicorn.
But like I said, in that note, Borderlands I would highly recommend. Next week we're gonna hear Charles rant about the episodes of Halo he caught up on. We do not have enough time.
This next one coming up.
Oh, nice. So we're gonna get a nice little rant about that. Now, real fast, I just wanted to, because we do a little Halo thing every week. I don't want a full story, but how many episodes did you watch?
I watched the last 3.
You watched the last 3. Can you rate?
Ones that basically I've missed. Freaking one. No, I think the last one of this season is this Thursday.
Okay, can you rate? Not telling us anything. We can get to that next week. But can you rate the episodes you've seen? So starting with the first one you've seen, second one you've seen, third one you've seen, of the new ones you just watched.
5 because they're faking a couple of references, and because they finally showed the thing I was looking forward to. 3 because fuck you, Quan.
Okay.
And only one part was actually redeemable on that whole episode. And that's like one of the last parts. And the last one freaking was actually alright, and that's I give it a 7. Even though fucking Halsey can go jump off a cliff.
Okay. I'm looking forward to the 7th one, honestly. That one I'm looking forward to. So
Also, Reach is gonna be royally fucked in this next one.
Reach?
That's what freaking UNSC is based, because they haven't destroyed Reach yet. But although after what happens in the last week's episode, the one they gave a 7, you can thank freaking the UNSC for certain people in the UNSC for that when you see that episode. Pretty much the Covenant gonna be coming to Reach, and they're gonna fuck that place right the fuck up.
I'm looking forward to. I'm actually looking forward to actually watching the Halo series. I've been wanting to, and now I'm just like, time's in the essence. I just don't. If you're a content creator out there, you feel my pain. There's no such thing as time to watch movies. You can have it playing in the background. There's no time to watch it. I'll watch Free Guys eventually. But now,
So like movie going, like part of the appeal is being with other people.
yeah.
I mean, if I make a movie, I don't expect one person to watch it at a time. I would think that with TV, because I think TV can be a personal experience, but not with movies.
No, and it's like me and Brittany will sit down and watch like shows, but even a movie, like we have to. I don't know. We have to have the time. Then we also just have to have the one to sit down and watch one solid thing for so long. Like, and we watch documentaries all the time, but that's still something I can play on my phone with and focus what's on TV.
Yeah. Well, my top 3 trilogies. So the Lord of the Rings trilogy, the original Star Wars trilogy, and then Alex Jones on Joe Rogan. Those are my 3 favorite trilogies.
That's not an official one, but okay. I'll take
Yeah,
what?
it's a visual. You can watch. Yeah, it's got a video component to it.
Okay.
Dude,
Okay.
I sat down and just like, oh.
I mean, if it is, honestly, if there's a series I'll sit down and watch, it's honestly Harry Potter is one of them.
Read the
And
books. The movies are good, but like
you're talking to a guy who can't read, so probably not a good idea.
children's books.
This is more of a fucking trilogy than
I
freaking
don't
Alex
care.
Jones crap.
Well, Pokemon's a series. I wouldn't call it a trilogy. I would call it a series. Is that Joseph? What's the difference between a series and a trilogy?
Okay, so I mean, other than the fact that a trilogy just has 3 movies, which to be fair, Star Wars doesn't even follow that rule.
Lord of the Rings doesn't either.
Okay, well, no, Lord of the Rings is still okay because it was just the 3 movies. The Hobbit is not like the Lord of the Rings series. It's part of Tolkien. It's a Tolkien
But
movie.
it's a part of the books.
The Hobbit was a different. Well, I mean, okay, yeah, no, look. The narrative thread is all there, right? The Hobbit takes place in the same world. It's all part of the story, so I will grant that. But as a movie viewing experience, Fellowship of the Ring, Two Towers, Return of the King is a self-contained movie trilogy.
Okay.
The Hobbit movies lead into.
The Hobbit movies are their own trilogy, and they're not great.
No, I hate the Hobbit movies, honestly. The Lord of the Rings
The
is...
Battle of 5 Armies
there.
is like the subtitle that I would have come up with if I was 8 years old. Told to name a movie.
Really, even 5 armies that actually battled? Remember, there was like the dwarves, the humans, I think, the elves, and the freaking orcs. I don't know who the fuck.
Wait, there's humans in the Hobbit?
I think so. I don't know. I just remember there were dwarves, freaking the orc army, freaking. And I honestly, I freaking don't remember.
Man, I need to watch more trilogies. Harry Potter is one I watch, and if I have to give another trilogy,
Well, Harry Potter is a series for sure.
okay, then I don't know what's. I need to find the definition of a trilogy in a series. Let's go with series.
Shades, Twilight.
I do like Twilight. I'll go Twilight. I'll
How about
watch
a trilogy is one movie split into 3 parts?
Okay. Now I could do that. The Lord of the Rings. That's the only one.
Yeah.
Yep. And
Series.
but for a series, one series I'm trying to really get on, and I'm trying to watch this series is Supernatural. I'm trying to get back into that. They officially ended their series, and now I'm kind of like nostalgic. I want to actually see how they end, what they did, and I watched it growing up in the past. We have all the box set DVDs. Whoever knows what that is, we had all of them, and I missed so many episodes. I really want to go back and see it. I love Supernatural, so I really want to go back and see it and watch that. But do we think James is ever coming back?
Of course.
We have hope.
I'll be the optimist.
Okay. Well, he at least
Tell
told
him
us.
he's gonna be playing Counter-Strike or something.
At least he said he's going to get milk. So, dude, no joke. I was actually upset whenever I woke up that one day and literally seen. He sent me a message. I think I have the message. He sent me a message saying you downed the game, and I was so depressed. I was like, no, I had to go to sleep. He put, hey man, you available for some gaming, like an hour or so? I'm like, and he sent that at like 6 p.m. on a Friday. I go to bed at like 6 o'clock on Friday, so I'm like, I can't.
Why didn't he message me? He
bad.
says he had last time. He said he had Borderlands 2, something on his PC. I would have played with him for a bit.
You have to talk to him. I don't know. Probably because he knows he can get like a round of CS:GO in, and that's usually like 10 or 15 minutes, and then hop off if needed. That's probably the reason versus committing to an actual like game. But we might try to see if he can't get into some Halo Legendary. If we could just get all that knocked out, maybe like a day or something. Unfortunately, I know he doesn't have a day, so it is what it is. But we have to end the podcast. We have to start wrapping this up. Charles, where can people find you?
You can find me on my YouTube channel, CJ The Lone Wolf, which has 149 subs now.
Nice. Joseph?
You can find me at giantenemycompany.com.
You can find me at skullhuntergames.com. Don't search it up. I actually don't know what will pop up. But you can find me at Skull Hunter Games oh my god. You can find me at Skull Hunter Games anywhere you search it up. If you search Skull Hunter Games into Google, you will literally find every bit of me you could ever see, including possibly an OnlyFans. No, you won't. I hope not. We talked about this a few weeks ago. If there's an OnlyFans account named Skull Hunter Games, it's not me. I wish it was. If so, it's making some dollars. But yeah.
Just so you know, I found nothing.
Oh, thank God. Or maybe ow. maybe I'm not big enough for people to steal yet. But yeah, if you can follow me on YouTube, on TikTok, we just hit 800 followers, and I greatly appreciate that. And you can follow me on Instagram, all that fun jazz. And if you want to find James, the guy who was here at the very beginning and had to go get milk in the middle of a podcast, I'm professional. You can find him at The Architect on Twitter. And this podcast. Anywhere you search up Skull Hunter Podcast, it's nothing special. You already found us. You guys have been following us for a while. We hit over 500 viewers on YouTube, and we've hit over 300 viewers on Spotify, iTunes, and wherever else you get your audio podcast at. So thanks to you guys. You guys are finding us. You guys are doing it great. But if you wouldn't mind, please share the podcast out with as many people. If you have some gaming buddies who go on walks and stuff like that, send them our way. We'd love to get our podcast out to more people, and you could possibly be on one. But guys, I think we did it. Did a podcast. We had James for a little bit. It was so nice. Charles, go ahead and scream us out. But until I do, goodbye, everybody. What?
See ya.
It sucks.
Biscuit.
Okay, I'm good.
And then you just see the guy from freaking Treyarch freaking walking in his room like what happened to freaking Backfire, whatever the hell his name is.
Can I just say how perfect, like, we can cut this part out if needed. Can I just say how perfect of, like, a panorama shot that was? Of, like, the chair the chair moving. We're gonna cut that out because we wanted to make it look like, but goddamn, that was funny. Bigfoot coming in the room.
Can we take this clip, maybe put it after like a blooper at the end of the episode?
Oh, that works. Yeah, that works. Okay.
Excellent.
I was gonna say, just take the first one attempt we did.
Back to present time.